6 years in the making. First released in 2017, the Model 3 was the most popular Tesla created. But with growing pains and random build quality issues, was it worth it at the time? With their older Model 3, they had a performance variant which looked exactly like a regular Model 3. But now Tesla has finally created the ultimate Tesla, a different looking, faster, more efficient Tesla that will really get your cheeks sweaty. Should you upgrade to the performance Model 3? Now, if you didn't know, the Model 3 refresh design, codename is Highland, is a complete overhaul of the older previous model. I did a separate video with all the details and updates, so make sure you guys check that out. However, if you're specifically looking into this bad boy, the new Tesla Roadster, the Model 3 Performance, then this video is for you. This is the first time Tesla is separating their most expensive performance models from all the other variants. But there is one big issue with the Model 3 Performance, which I'll talk about in a second. But first, let's talk about ride quality. All right, so now I am in the Model 3 Performance. I don't know, it's weird. It feels like the doors sound better, maybe because it's more expensive. We got the new UI here, so it looks beautiful. I love it. Reminds me of the Cybertruck. Let's go to dynamics. We have insane acceleration. Yes, please. Ride and handling. We're gonna do standard for right now. And I'm gonna go ahead and change the steering to heavy so it feels more like a sports car. So now let's talk about specs. We don't need to floor it anymore. We all know what Teslas feel like. Woo! Oh! They're just fast, especially Model 3 Performance. In the previous generations, it's always been a fast car. But this goes a mind-blowing, eyes behind your head roller coaster, 0 to 60 in 2.9 seconds. It makes it 0.2 seconds faster than the previous generation. So they did a great job. It's not just that, they didn't just make it faster, they made the powertrain more efficient, they made the motors better, you get better torque. This is a rear-wheel drive biased vehicle more so because it's a performance model compared to, let's say, the normal long-range Model 3s. So you just have way more torque for those rear wheels, and you get more control and handling in turns and corners. And man, it is a fun car to drive. Now, we all know they greatly improved the ride handling in the updated Model 3 Highland. And with performance vehicles, especially the Model Y Performance and the previous gen Model 3 Performance, it was always very, very bumpy. And it makes sense, you have bigger rims, less rubber on the tire, so it felt bumpier. The Tesla Model 3 Performance, however, is the first Tesla Model 3 to have adaptive dampening. So what that means is we have better ride control and we can adjust it based on how we're feeling. So right now, we are on standard ride and handling. So this is how it feels on standard. I can feel the bumps. I will say it's not as comfortable as the Model 3 Highland refresh. However, the Model 3 refresh I drove had the bigger tires, so it's definitely gonna be a little bit more comfortable. Steering is very nice. You got that heavy steering, that nice sporty steering, love it. Now we're gonna switch it up. We're gonna try sport ride and handling and see how much bumpier it gets. I'm a little bit more worried when I go over these potholes and bumps because the Model 3 Performance is slightly lower than the regular Model 3, so you just have to be careful. All right, so now I'm on the sport handling, but I feel more connected than before. Definitely a little bit better. I feel like I can have amazing control. Man, this thing hugs the road so well. But surprisingly, on the sport suspension, it still feels very good and it is very quiet. But I don't think I use it as much for daily driving. It feels like the Model 3, the old Model 3s, where you definitely feel more of the bumps. This thing is so quick. Woo! It is insane. Oh yeah. Smells like rubber. Let's quickly talk about the tires on this bad boy. And these are some amazing looking Model 3 Performance wheels. I thought it was a plastic cover on top of it. However, this is clearly the rim. They did add an aero cover for more efficiencies, but it's just pieces, right? So it's just like a piece here and little pieces here that you could easily remove. And honestly, I think it looks sexy with them on. And of course, you have the beautiful red brake calipers here as well. And I mean, with the red paint and the red brake calipers, this is a sexy looking car. But that's not all the changes with the Tesla Model 3 Performance. Let's talk about the front. Now, the new Model 3 Performance looks so sexy. I mean, look at it with the lights and the diffusers, everything. It looks so good. And this is the first time Tesla has ever really changed the performance model variants than the regular models. And that was always my biggest issue. You get a performance model, you pay so much money, and all you get is, of course, it being faster. You get maybe like a small little badge or red underline, as well as a carbon fiber spoiler, and that's it. However, finally, the Model 3 Performance looks so sexy. This is all new, helps improve aerodynamics, but look, if I have my stick, I could do the car wow test to make sure it's real. It's for sure real. It goes all the way through there just to provide better aerodynamics. So this entire bumper is completely new and designed specifically for the Model 3 Performance. You also have this front splitter here, and it looks so good. It just makes it look so much more sporty. I like how they didn't go crazy with the carbon fiber either and make it like all carbon fiber, but it's like this nice matte black grayish color. It looks beautiful in the sun. Tesla is finally making their car look as fast as it goes. The Model 3 Performance in the rear is so sexy too. Updated plaid badge. So you know before it was red, now they've made it like this sexy blue and black color. It is so clean, no words, nothing. You just know it's the performance model. But if that doesn't help you out enough, you have the brand new carbon fiber spoiler. It's not just a straight half circle anymore. It's a little bit straight on the edges and it kind of juts out. Super nice. Beautiful. And of course, you also have a different rear diffuser than the long range models. So this whole piece is also brand new. But if you thought that was it, I'm not done. Let's take a look at the interior. Oh yeah. So the interior seats are completely brand new in the Tesla Model 3 Performance. They actually made performance specific seats and it is awesome. Let's take a look at it right here. This whole area is new. They have a new headrest here. What makes it amazing is this plaid badge. Look how cool that is. This black plaid badge right here has some silver. It's a little three-dimensional. It looks so cool. It feels like racing sports seats, to be honest. The bolsters on the side here hug the shoulders a little bit. They hug like where the lats are for me. I've driven sports seats before and you're either gonna love it or hate it. However, there is a break-in period where the seats kind of have to break in a little bit. So these ones, see the bolsters are very, very high up. So they're very raised. So it's meant to kind of hug you in the turns and curves, which it does, and it does an amazing job at it. However, the problem is if you're heavier on the heavier set side, if you're a little bigger, like for me, I got little big legs, it can get very uncomfortable because the bolsters kind of cut into your thighs. So for me, it's a little bit on the uncomfortable side for maybe long road trips. However, again, it does need to break in. Once it breaks in, it becomes much more comfortable. But already, so much more support than the regular Model 3 long-range seats. It supports 12-way power seats, heated and cooled. I'm 6'3", plenty of headspace. It feels like any other Model 3, very comfortable to drive. But that's not all with the performance models. With the performance models, you also get this beautiful carbon fiber dash trim. Very subtle, but just a way to show that it's a performance model, which is kind of cool. So the screen is so sexy. You can even see the Model 3 Performance on here. I love this new user interface. It looks beautiful. But let's quickly talk about one major difference with the performance model. So the second you enable track mode, you can already hear the battery starting to heat up. You get all these new user interfaces, set finish line, so you can go ahead and find a finish line on here. It's so cool. This is an all new version 3 track mode, but it just kind of enables more stuff, more settings, so you get way more customization options. When you go to dynamic, you can go to customize here. I created a preset. You can customize everything to have more understeer. You did a great job with the new updated track mode in case you ever do decide to take your performance mode on the track. So one thing I did notice, because you have the performance seats, you don't get, I think there's a seat pocket back here, but you don't have that in these because these are the performance seats. Not a deal breaker or anything, but that is something to keep in mind if you are deciding on the performance model. But aside from that, everything else is pretty much the same on the interior side. But as far as physical stuff goes, that's the biggest difference. And I know what you're thinking when you talk about companies like M3 Performance and other big companies that have performance specific models and they change so much. You're like, that's all they have. However, being a Tesla, that's a huge step in the right direction to be able to have all these physically new features to set it apart from all the other models. And you would think this car would be definitely way more expensive than the other models, right? But seriously, the major issue with the Model 3 Performance, and this is a big one, is the price. from recording this video, the Model 3 Performance is actually cheaper than the Model 3 Long Range. Yes, you heard that correctly. Go ahead, look it up if you want to. It's around $300 cheaper than the Model 3 Long Range because of the $7,500 federal tax credit if you do qualify for it. And unfortunately, the other two Model 3s, the rear-wheel drive and long-range model drive, do not qualify. However, the Model 3 Performance qualifies for that $7,500 federal tax credit, making it cheaper than the Model 3 Long Range. As long as you don't upgrade any hardware stuff, like you don't upgrade the seat or change the color. And the reason why is because you want to make sure your car doesn't cost more than that cap, which is $55,000. And if you always want to change the color, you can always just come to Allen's shop and change it to any colored PPF option out there, like what I did with my Teslas. So of course you're thinking, dude, it's a no-brainer. We have to get the Model 3 Performance, right? Hold your horses. There are pros and cons to having the Model 3 Performance, so let's talk about it. The first one is the tires. I talked about the tires. They're beautiful, brand new tires. However, they are performance tires, which means it's softer and it's not gonna last as long. Especially if you have a performance model, you're gonna wanna floor it a little bit more. You're gonna wanna take corners a little bit faster, making these tires last not as long as the long range models. You also have to deal with higher insurance rates because of that performance badging. So also you have to keep that in mind. Because it's the performance model, you also get less miles than the Model 3 Long Range. With the Model 3 Long Range, you get a solid 341 miles. And with the Model 3 Performance, it drops it all the way down to 303. And of course, you get that slightly lower stance, which puts you at a higher risk for bumper damage. So while it is technically cheaper, you do end up paying more for maintenance as well as insurance costs and maybe even registration fees. But again, you can't put a smile on the face on the joy it brings when you drive this car. It is so much fun to drive. The choice is yours. But remember, if you are getting a new Tesla, make sure to take it to Allen over at Xtreme Edge Auto Detail in Garden Grove. They do tons of Tesla paint protection film, tint, ceramic coating, all that fun stuff. So make sure you take it the second you get your car. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you guys next time.